When you refuse to explain your value, you force others to recognize it. The moment you stop explaining your value, you start commanding respect. People who truly see your worth will never ask you to prove it. Have you ever felt like you had to explain your worth to people who don't respect it? Have you ever lowered your standards just to be accepted? The truth is, when you know your value, you don't have to prove it to anyone. The moment you stop explaining yourself, you take back control. People who truly respect you will see your worth without you saying a word. Those who don't, they were never meant to. In this video, I'll show you how to stand firm in your value, stop justifying your worth, and command respect without begging for it. Stay with me, because once you learn this, everything will change. Number 1, recognize your worth and never settle for less. You have a value that is unique to you. This value doesn't depend on anyone's approval. It's not determined by your job title, your bank account balance, or the number of people who follow you. Your value is inherent. It's in who you are, what you've been through, and the potential that lies within you. Yet so many people struggle with this. They look outside themselves for validation, approval, and recognition, not realizing that they already possess the one thing they're searching for, their own worth. Recognizing your worth is the first step toward changing everything in your life. If you can't see your own value, how can you expect anyone else to? When you don't recognize your worth, you end up settling for less. You accept less than what you deserve, and you put yourself in situations that aren't aligned with your potential. The first and most important shift you can make is this: you must believe in yourself before anyone else can. People who don't recognize their worth tend to let others dictate their path. They let their circumstances define them instead of using their strength to shape their own journey. But when you truly know what you're capable of, when you see your potential, you begin to take control. You stop letting life happen to you and start making things happen. Recognizing your worth isn't just about acknowledging that you are worthy. It's about believing that you are enough right now in this moment. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to meet anyone else's standards. Your worth is unshakable because it's based on you, not external factors. Too often, people look for outside approval to feel good about themselves. They wait for others to notice them, to give them a pat on the back, or to tell them that they're doing a good job. But here's the truth. The world is not going to hand you validation. People won't always recognize your worth, and that's okay. The key is to recognize your worth first. The moment you believe in yourself, you don't need anyone else's validation. You walk into rooms with your head held high because you know you deserve to be there. When you stop seeking approval, something incredible happens. You begin to attract the right people, the right opportunities, and the right circumstances into your life. Why? Because you no longer settle. You no longer accept less than you deserve. The world responds to your confidence and belief in yourself. People treat you the way you treat yourself, and when you treat yourself with respect and high regard, others follow suit. It all starts with you. It begins with you recognizing your worth and taking action based on that belief. But what about the obstacles? What about the challenges that come your way? What about the people who doubt you or the setbacks you face? These things will come, without a doubt. No one is immune to life's difficulties. But when you recognize your worth, you understand that those challenges are just temporary. You know they can't break you. You've seen your value, and that knowledge makes you resilient. It makes you unshakable. You understand that failures don't define your worth. They are just opportunities for growth. You'll encounter setbacks, but your value remains constant. No matter what happens, you know who you are. There's a reason why people who recognize their worth continue to rise above challenges. They have a mindset that refuses to accept anything less than their best. They know that every obstacle is just a stepping stone on the way to something greater. And they have a deep understanding that their value isn't determined by their failures, but by their ability to keep going, to keep improving, and to keep believing in themselves. One of the most powerful things you can do is stop comparing yourself to others. When you recognize your worth, you understand that your journey is unique to you. You don't need to measure your success by someone else's standards. The moment you stop looking to others for your self-worth, you free yourself from the chains of comparison. It's easy to get caught up in what others are doing, especially with social media constantly bombarding you with other people's lives. But remember this, what you see on the surface isn't the full story. Everyone has their struggles, their challenges, and their own path to walk. Don't measure your progress against theirs. Measure your progress against where you were yesterday, and see how far you've come. Your worth is not for sale, and it's not for negotiation. It's something that is inherent in who you are. When you start recognizing your worth, you no longer tolerate people who don't value you. You stop accepting behavior that diminishes your confidence or makes you feel small. You set boundaries with people who try to undermine your self-worth, and you start surrounding yourself with people who lift you up and see your value. You deserve to be around people who recognize your greatness. You deserve to be treated with respect and dignity. You can't afford to settle for less than what you deserve. And settling is a dangerous thing. When you settle, you start to lower your standards. You start to accept situations, people and circumstances that don't align with your true potential. And over time you begin to believe that this is all you're worth. But I'm here to tell you that it's not. You are worth so much more. When you recognize your worth, you stop settling for the bare minimum. You demand more for yourself, because you understand that you are capable of so much more. Now, this isn't about arrogance. This isn't about walking into a room with a sense of entitlement. It's about walking into a room with a quiet confidence, knowing that you belong. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You don't need to justify why you are worth what you are worth. You just need to recognize your value, act accordingly, and let your actions speak for themselves. If you want to change your life, the first step is to change how you view yourself. Stop thinking of yourself as just another person. You are unique, and you bring something to the table that no one else can. Recognizing your worth is the key to unlocking your potential. It's the first step to a life of fulfillment, success, and happiness. You don't need to wait for the world to tell you your worth. You don't need to wait for others to recognize it. Start by recognizing it for yourself. When you do, you'll see that everything else will fall into place. You'll stop settling for less, and you'll start attracting more, the right opportunities, the right people, and the life you deserve. You are worthy. You are enough. You are capable of achieving everything you've ever dreamed of. And it starts with recognizing your worth. Today, take a step toward valuing yourself. Stop settling for less. Demand the life you deserve, and never accept anything less than what you are truly worth. Number 2, stand firm in your value and don't seek approval. This is one of the most powerful things you can do for yourself. It's easy to get caught up in the desire to be liked or validated. We've all been there, seeking confirmation that we're doing the right thing or that we matter. But when you look for approval from outside yourself, you give away your power. You let other people determine your worth. And that's a dangerous game to play. The truth is, when you understand your own value, you no longer need to seek approval. You don't need others to tell you that you're good enough, or that you're on the right track. You already know it. You've recognized your value. And that recognition is enough. No external validation is required. It's a freeing feeling to stop waiting for permission to be yourself, to stop hoping that others will acknowledge your worth. When you stand firm in your value, you take control of your life. You set the tone for how you want to be treated. You decide what you're worth, and you demand that others respect that. This doesn't mean that you won't face opposition. You will. People will challenge you, doubt you, and try to make you feel small. But when you know your worth, none of that matters. The opinions of others lose their power over you. They may try to knock you down, but you remain steady. You stand firm. You don't flinch. Why? Because you know that your value is not dependent on what anyone else thinks of you. You don't need their approval to move forward or to succeed. You have everything you need within yourself. This is where true confidence comes from. Confidence isn't about pretending to be something you're not or waiting for others to recognize your value. It's about understanding who you are, knowing what you bring to the table, and being unapologetic about it. When you stand firm in your value, you become immovable. No one can shake your belief in yourself, because it's rooted in truth, not in anyone's approval. You know your worth, and that's enough. You don't need to seek validation. You don't need to explain why you deserve success, why you deserve respect, or why you deserve to take up space. Your value speaks for itself. It's important to recognize that when you don't seek approval, you begin to attract the right people into your life. The right people are those who see your value without needing to be convinced. They appreciate you for who you are, not for how much you can do for them, or how much you can conform to their expectations. These are the people who lift you up, who respect you for standing firm in your value, and who don't try to change you. When you stop seeking approval, you stop wasting your energy on relationships that don't serve you. You stop bending to others' will, and you start surrounding yourself with people who genuinely value you for who you are. But let's talk about the hard part: saying no. When you stop seeking approval, you have to be willing to say no. You have to be willing to turn down opportunities, relationships, and situations that don't align with your value. This can be uncomfortable at first. You might worry about disappointing others or facing rejection. But here's the truth. Saying no is one of the most powerful ways to honor your value. Every time you say no to something that doesn't serve you, you're saying yes to yourself. You're saying yes to what's right for you, to what aligns with your goals and your worth. It's a practice in self-respect, and it's something you need to do regularly. Saying no is also about setting boundaries. When you stand firm in your value, you draw a line in the sand. You decide what you will and won't tolerate. You don't let anyone walk all over you, and you don't let anyone treat you in a way that doesn't honor your worth. Setting boundaries is a form of self-love. It's about taking control of your life and refusing to let others dictate your path. You don't need to explain why you're saying no. You don't owe anyone an explanation. Your value is enough, and that's all that matters. One of the hardest parts of standing firm in your value is dealing with the fear of rejection. When you stop seeking approval, you risk not being accepted by others. And while this can feel scary, it's important to understand that not everyone will value you in the way that you deserve. That's okay. Not everyone will appreciate what you bring to the table, and that's not a reflection of your worth. It's simply a matter of compatibility. The right people will see your value, and they will be drawn to you. The wrong people will fall away, and that's a good thing. You don't need to chase after approval. You need to focus on being true to yourself and trusting that the right people will be attracted to your authenticity. The other side of standing firm in your value is taking full responsibility for your life. When you don't seek approval, you realize that you are the one who shapes your destiny. You are the one who determines what your life looks like. You stop waiting for someone else to give you permission to pursue your dreams. You stop looking for others to tell you that you can do it. You know you can. You know that you are capable, and that confidence is what will propel you forward. Taking responsibility for your life means acknowledging your mistakes, learning from them, and moving forward. It means not blaming others for your situation, but instead looking at what you can do to improve. When you stand firm in your value, you understand that your life is in your hands. You control your choices. And when you make those choices with confidence, knowing your value, you begin to see your life transform. One of the most powerful things you can do is let go of the need for approval from your past. Maybe there were people in your life, family, friends, colleagues, who didn't see your value. Maybe you've spent years seeking their approval, trying to gain their acceptance. It's time to stop. The people from your past don't define you. They don't determine your worth. You are no longer beholden to them. You can let go of the need for their approval and embrace the truth of who you are. The only approval you need is your own. Number 3. Own your value and stop explaining your worth. The moment you recognize the worth you bring to the table, you stop justifying it. The constant need to explain your value is draining. It takes away from your energy, your focus, and your peace of mind. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your worth. Your value stands on its own merit, and the sooner you understand this, the more powerful and confident you become. Every day, people will try to make you feel like you need to explain your worth to prove that you belong, that you deserve to be in the room, or that your dreams are valid. But here's the thing. You don't need to do any of that. When you own your value, you let go of the habit of justifying your actions, your decisions, and your desires. You stop asking for permission, and you start taking responsibility for your success. When you begin owning your value, it shifts your mindset. You no longer seek approval. and you stop measuring yourself by the standards of others. Instead of explaining why you deserve respect, you start demanding it. Instead of proving why your skills are valuable, you show them through your work. The proof is in the action. Your value is not up for debate. It's not something that needs to be argued over or explained. It's simply a truth that you've come to accept about yourself. Too often, people find themselves stuck in the cycle of explaining why they deserve something. Why they deserve a raise, why they deserve to be taken seriously, why they deserve respect. The truth is, your worth isn't something you need to explain to anyone. When you start owning your value, you realize that the people who truly see you, truly appreciate what you bring, don't need a lengthy explanation. They understand your value instinctively. Those are the people who matter. Those are the people you should focus on. Anyone else who requires an explanation is not worth your time. When you own your value, you also stop overthinking every decision. You don't second-guess your choices because you know they are aligned with your worth. You trust your intuition. You trust your judgment. You trust that the decisions you make come from a place of knowing your capabilities and understanding your worth. When you stop explaining yourself, you stop doubting yourself. And that's incredibly powerful. Doubt is a silent killer of dreams. It keeps you stuck, spinning in circles, never moving forward. But when you own your value, you eliminate doubt. You stop asking yourself if you're good enough, because you already know that you are. You've spent enough time worrying about what others think and waiting for their approval. It's time to let go of that habit. It's time to start living for yourself, to make decisions based on your desires and your aspirations, not based on what you think others expect of you. You don't need to explain your dreams. You don't need to justify your goals. Your dreams belong to you. Your goals are yours to pursue, not to explain to others. It's also important to recognize that owning your value doesn't mean you become arrogant or dismissive of others. It's not about thinking you're better than anyone else. It's about knowing that you are just as worthy as everyone else. You stop letting other people dictate how much you're worth. You stop being made to feel like you have to earn respect or prove that you deserve to succeed. You understand that your worth is not dependent on other people's validation. Owning your value also means knowing when to walk away. There will be situations where you're expected to explain why you deserve a seat at the table. There will be moments where people will try to make you feel small or unworthy. But when you own your value, you recognize when it's time to walk away. You recognize that staying in environments or relationships where you have to explain yourself is not where you belong. You are worthy of being around people who see your value without needing to be convinced. You are worthy of spaces where your worth is already acknowledged. One of the most freeing aspects of owning your value is the relief that comes from no longer seeking others' approval. There's a peace that comes when you stop trying to convince others of your worth. You stop needing their validation to feel good about yourself. You can finally just be. Being yourself without constantly explaining why you deserve to take up space is liberating. It's a life-changing realization that you don't need anyone's permission to succeed or be respected. You don't need anyone to understand your journey. You don't need to justify why you are where you are. Your progress speaks for itself. When you stop explaining your worth, you also start creating boundaries that honor your value. You stop accepting treatment that doesn't align with who you are. You don't let people talk down to you or make you feel like you have to settle. When you own your value, you set the standard for how others treat you, and you don't apologize for it. You recognize that if someone doesn't appreciate what you bring to the table, that's their loss, not yours. Letting go of the need to explain your worth is also about learning to celebrate your accomplishments. How often do you find yourself downplaying your achievements to avoid sounding boastful? How often do you brush off your successes because you don't want to appear arrogant? The truth is, there's nothing wrong with owning your success. There's nothing wrong with acknowledging your value. You worked hard to get where you are, and you deserve to celebrate that. You don't need to downplay your worth to make others feel comfortable. When you own your value, you give yourself permission to take pride in your achievements, to be proud of how far you've come. Number 4, demand respect by showing confidence in your value. To demand respect, you must first show confidence in your own value. Respect isn't something you can ask for or beg for. It's something you earn, but not through words or pleas. It's earned through the consistent, undeniable display of your own self-assurance. When you believe in your own value, others will naturally follow suit. They will see that you aren't a person who seeks approval. You are someone who stands firm in your own worth. This kind of confidence does not come from arrogance. It comes from a deep understanding of who you are and the unique value you offer. Respect is not a favor someone grants you. It's the result of how you show up in the world. You show people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. When you value yourself, when you project an image of confidence, others will be forced to take notice. They will be compelled to treat you with the same respect you show yourself. The key to this is being consistent in your actions, your words, and your behavior. Your value should never be in question. You should carry yourself in a way that makes it clear to others that you do not tolerate anything less than respect. Your confidence speaks louder than any words you could say. It's the way you walk, the way you speak, and the way you interact with others. If you walk with your head high, with a posture that says, "I belong here," people will recognize that energy, confidence is magnetic, people will be drawn to you, and respect will follow. It's not about demanding respect with anger or frustration. It's about showing through every action that you are not someone who will tolerate disrespect. Confidence is rooted in knowing your value and staying true to it. People can sense when someone is unsure of themselves. When you're not confident in your worth, others will mirror that back to you. But when you are confident, when you own your strengths and acknowledge your worth, people are more likely to respond in kind. They will see that you are not someone who needs to prove anything, because you already know exactly who you are. That's when respect becomes inevitable. It's not given to those who ask for it. It's given to those who show they deserve it. To build this kind of unshakable confidence, you must start by being consistent in your actions. Every decision you make should reflect your belief in your own worth. This means setting boundaries with others and not allowing anyone to treat you as less than you are. When you demand respect, you stop allowing people to cross lines they shouldn't be crossing. You don't entertain disrespectful behavior or comments. You shut them down in a way that's firm but calm because you know your value, and you refuse to let anyone diminish it. Respect is earned through action, not through asking for it. It's earned through showing up every day and carrying yourself with integrity. It's earned through keeping promises, maintaining your standards, and being reliable. People will respect you when they see that you are consistent in your efforts and true to your word. This is not about being perfect, but about being authentic. When people see that you have confidence in your value, they will respect your consistency. When you project confidence, you attract people who respect and value you. But the reverse is also true. When you lack confidence, you attract people who don't value you or your time. People who lack confidence are often more willing to settle for less, to accept disrespectful behavior, and to tolerate things they shouldn't. Confidence changes the game. When you know your worth, you refuse to settle. You are no longer willing to accept anything that doesn't align with your standards. Confidence in your value also means not seeking validation from others. Validation comes from within, not from the opinions of others. It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks if you already know who you are. When you no longer look outside of yourself for approval, you become more attractive to others because you're not looking for anything from them. You're not seeking to please them, to gain their favor, or to make them happy. You're just being yourself, and that's what earns you the respect of others. Another key element of demanding respect is refusing to tolerate disrespect, no matter where it comes from. It doesn't matter if it's from friends, family, or co-workers. When someone disrespects you, you need to make it clear that you will not accept it. This doesn't mean you have to confront them with anger or hostility. It means you calmly and confidently assert your boundaries and let them know that you expect to be treated with respect. When people see that you won't tolerate disrespect, they will think twice before crossing those boundaries again. The confidence to demand respect also comes from trusting your instincts. When you feel that something is wrong, when you feel that someone is overstepping, trust yourself enough to speak up. Don't be afraid to address situations that make you uncomfortable. Too many people avoid confrontation, thinking that it's easier to stay silent, but silence doesn't earn you respect. It allows disrespect to fester. Speak up when necessary, and let people know that you respect yourself enough to stand up for your worth. To truly demand respect, you need to be comfortable with discomfort. Standing firm in your value is not always easy, especially when it's met with resistance. But the discomfort you feel in standing up for yourself is nothing compared to the regret you'll feel when you allow disrespect to continue unchecked. The discomfort of asserting your value in the face of others' disapproval is temporary, but the respect you gain lasts far longer. Confidence doesn't mean being aggressive or confrontational. It means being secure in who you are and what you bring to the table. It means refusing to shrink or apologize for taking up space. When you show confidence in your value, you make it clear that you will not accept anything less than respect. This isn't about arrogance. It's about self-respect. It's about valuing yourself enough to know that you don't need to explain, justify, or beg for respect. You simply demand it by showing through your actions and your presence that you are worthy of it. Demanding respect starts with you. It starts with you showing up every day as the best version of yourself. It's about showing the world that you have confidence in your value and that you are not afraid to stand firm in it. When you do this, you not only earn respect, you set the standard for how others should treat you, and you teach others to value themselves as well. Confidence in your value is contagious, and when you show it, you inspire those around you to do the same. Number 5. Trust your value and refuse to justify your cost. When you trust your value, you step into a powerful place in life. You move away from the need to explain yourself or to justify your worth. People who understand their value never feel the need to justify their cost to others. They know they bring something unique to the table, and they don't have to explain it. Trusting your value means knowing deep down that you are enough, just as you are, and that you have something valuable to offer the world. Too many people waste time trying to convince others of their worth. They seek approval or validation from those around them. But the truth is, validation is something that comes from within. When you trust your own value, you don't need to explain your cost. You know your worth without needing anyone else's opinion. It's not about arrogance or self-centeredness. It's about knowing that you are deserving of respect, recognition, and opportunities without having to justify why. The real power comes when you stop trying to fit into someone else's expectations. So often, we spend our time trying to explain why we are worth what we are asking for, whether it's in a job, a relationship, or any area of life. We end up convincing ourselves that we are not enough unless someone else sees it first. But this is a lie. The truth is, you don't need anyone's permission to claim your value. You are the only one who gets to decide what you are worth, and that decision should come from within, not from the opinions of others. When you trust your value, you stop undervaluing yourself. Too often, people settle for less because they don't believe they deserve better. They justify taking less than what they are worth by rationalizing their decisions or talking themselves out of what they truly deserve. But when you trust your value, you stop settling. You begin to see that you are worthy of more than the bare minimum. You start demanding the best, not out of selfishness, but because you know that's what you deserve. Think about it. When you trust your value, you set a standard for how you expect to be treated. You refuse to accept disrespect, mediocrity, or anything less than what you know you are worthy of. You stop allowing others to dictate your worth. Instead, you decide for yourself what you will tolerate, what you will accept, and what you will let go of. This doesn't make you difficult or unreasonable. It makes you strong and self-aware. Trusting your value also means not needing to explain yourself every time someone questions your worth. Have you ever had a conversation with someone where they questioned your abilities or belittled your efforts? Did you feel the need to defend yourself, to explain why you are worth what you are asking for? It's a common situation. But when you trust your value, you stop defending and start owning it. You no longer need to prove your worth to anyone. Your actions, your accomplishments, and your self-assurance speak for themselves. It's important to remember that people who truly value you won't need to be convinced of your worth. They will see it, they will respect it, and they will treat you accordingly. You shouldn't have to beg, plead, or justify yourself for someone to recognize your value. You should never have to fight to be seen as valuable. If you are constantly having to explain why you deserve something, It's a sign that you're either not trusting your value or you're allowing others to treat you in ways that don't reflect your true worth. Now let's talk about self-belief. Trusting your value is rooted in strong self-belief. When you truly believe in your own worth, you can walk into any room with your head held high. You know that you bring something important to the table, and you don't need external validation to remind you of that. You don't need to look for approval from others. You've already validated yourself by understanding your worth, and that is all the validation you need. It's easy to fall into the trap of wanting to justify your cost. When you're not confident in your value, you may feel the need to explain why you're asking for what you want, why you're charging what you charge, or why you expect certain things. But that kind of mindset can keep you stuck in a place of self-doubt. It can keep you from demanding what you deserve because you're too busy explaining why you deserve it. Trusting your value removes this cycle of self-doubt. It allows you to claim what you're worth without hesitation. To truly trust your value, you must first acknowledge it. It starts with recognizing your strengths, your talents, your skills, and your unique qualities. Understand that you are a person who adds value to any situation. Whether it's in a personal relationship or a professional setting, you have something to offer. Your worth is not based on how others see you or how they treat you. It's based on what you bring to the table and the confidence you have in yourself. Once you trust your value, you become less concerned with trying to meet other people's expectations. You stop adjusting your worth to fit into the boxes that others have set for you. Instead, you create your own standards and you stick to them. This is what allows you to refuse to justify your cost. When someone questions your value or tries to make you feel less than, you simply do not engage in that conversation. You know your worth, and you are comfortable with it. You don't need anyone else's approval to confirm what you already know. Trusting your value also means knowing when to walk away from situations or relationships that do not honor your worth. If you are in a situation where your value is being questioned, or where you are being asked to explain yourself repeatedly, it's a sign that it might be time to move on. You don't need to stay in environments that do not recognize your worth. Trusting your value gives you the courage to walk away from things that don't serve you. It gives you the strength to say no when necessary, to set boundaries and to preserve your energy for the things that truly matter. In your career, for example, trusting your value means not being afraid to negotiate what you're worth. It means understanding that you deserve to be paid well for your time, skills, and expertise. When you are confident in your value, you don't shy away from asking for what you deserve. You don't settle for less than what you know you are worth. And if others are not willing to meet your expectations, you have the confidence to walk away and seek opportunities elsewhere. You know that your value is not tied to one job or one client. It's something that is within you and it cannot be taken away. When you trust your value, you stop living in fear of what others think. You stop letting their opinions dictate your worth. Instead, you live confidently in the knowledge that you are deserving of everything you ask for and more. You stop justifying your cost because you understand that your value is not up for negotiation. It's non-negotiable, and you don't need anyone else to agree with you in order to move forward. Number 6, embrace your uniqueness and ignore unnecessary validation. When you embrace your uniqueness, you stop looking for validation from the outside world. It's easy to get caught up in seeking approval from others, whether it's in your career, your personal life, or your goals. But the truth is, your worth is not defined by someone else's opinion. Your value is unique to you. And when you embrace that uniqueness, you begin to see your life in a new light. There's power in understanding that you don't need to be like anyone else. The world often tells us that we should fit in, that we should conform to the norms, that we should do things the way others expect, but the most successful, fulfilled, and impactful people are the ones who embrace their own path, their own journey, and their own individuality. Your uniqueness is not something to hide, it's something to celebrate. Too often we make the mistake of trying to be someone we're not in order to gain approval. We mold ourselves into what others expect, thinking that if we do this, we'll finally be accepted or valued. But this pursuit of external validation only leads to dissatisfaction and frustration. No matter how much you change yourself to fit someone else's ideal, You'll never truly feel fulfilled because you're not being true to who you really are. When you stop seeking validation, you stop handing over your power. Validation is something that comes from within. It's not something you have to earn from other people. It's something you already possess. The more you seek validation from others, the more you place your worth in their hands. You give them control over how you feel about yourself, and that's a dangerous place to be. You have to remember that the only opinion that truly matters is your own. Embracing your uniqueness requires a shift in mindset. It means accepting yourself fully without apology or hesitation. It means letting go of the need to fit into someone else's mold and instead creating your own. When you embrace your uniqueness, you stop comparing yourself to others. You stop worrying about what others think of you. Instead, you focus on what makes you happy, what brings you fulfillment, and what allows you to live authentically. Imagine waking up every day knowing that you are exactly who you're meant to be. You don't need to try to be anyone else because you've already discovered the beauty of being yourself. The world needs your unique perspective, your unique talents, and your unique contributions. By embracing who you are, you not only honor yourself, but you also inspire others to do the same. When you begin to stop seeking unnecessary validation, you stop living for other people's approval. You start making decisions based on your own values, not on what others expect of you. This doesn't mean that you should ignore constructive feedback or advice, but it does mean that you should no longer rely on the opinions of others to dictate your worth or your actions. The most powerful people are those who know who they are and trust in their own abilities, regardless of what others may think. The path to embracing your uniqueness is not always easy. It requires confidence, self-awareness, and a willingness to stand firm in your beliefs. But it's a path that will lead you to greater fulfillment and success because you're no longer wasting time trying to be something you're not. When you stop seeking validation, you create space for your true self to emerge. You begin to make decisions that are aligned with your values, goals, and passions. This shift doesn't happen overnight, and it's important to be patient with yourself as you work to embrace your uniqueness. Start by acknowledging the things that make you different. What are the qualities that set you apart from others? What are the things you love about yourself, even if others don't always understand them? Begin to embrace these aspects of yourself, and don't be afraid to share them with the world. When you stop seeking validation, you become more resilient. You stop relying on others to lift you up or make you feel good about yourself. Instead, you find your own strength and power from within. You no longer let the opinions of others sway your confidence or self-worth. You learn to trust yourself and your judgment, and that trust gives you the courage to move forward, even when things get tough. It's also important to recognize that when you stop seeking validation, you open yourself up to more authentic relationships. You attract people who appreciate you for who you truly are, not for the version of yourself you've created to fit their expectations. These are the relationships that will truly nourish and support you because they are built on mutual respect and understanding. When you embrace your uniqueness, you start to see that your differences are what make you special. It's easy to feel like you need to fit in or follow the crowd, especially when society tells us that there's one right way to live, to work, or to be. But when you stop chasing validation, you allow yourself to be your true self, and in doing so, you inspire others to do the same. You become a beacon of authenticity in a world that often values conformity. Think about the people you admire most. Chances are they are people who embrace their uniqueness. They didn't try to blend in with everyone else. They didn't seek approval or validation. They followed their own path, even when it wasn't the easiest or most popular path. These are the people who have the most impact on the world because they dared to be themselves, unapologetically. The beauty of embracing your uniqueness is that it brings you peace. You stop wasting energy trying to live up to someone else's standards, and instead you focus on creating a life that is true to who you are. You stop doubting yourself and your abilities, because you know that you are enough just as you are. You trust that by being yourself you'll attract the right opportunities, people, and experiences into your life. When you embrace your uniqueness, you also become more confident in your decisions. You stop second-guessing yourself because you know that your choices are coming from a place of self-awareness and self-trust. You stop worrying about whether or not others will approve because you know that your decisions align with your values and goals.
You start living with more intention, and your life becomes more fulfilling as a result. One of the greatest gifts you can give yourself is the freedom to be who you truly are. Let go of the need for external validation, and trust that your uniqueness is exactly what the world needs. You don't need anyone else to tell you that you're valuable, worthy, or capable. You already know that within yourself, and when you fully embrace that, you'll find that the world will begin to mirror that confidence back to you.
Number 7. Protect your worth and never beg for recognition. Too many people waste their energy chasing recognition, thinking that if someone finally acknowledges them, they'll feel validated. But the truth is, your worth is not something that needs approval. It's not something that depends on another person's acknowledgement. It exists regardless of whether others see it or not. And if you don't protect it, the world will convince you that you're not enough. Recognition is not the foundation of self-worth. It's a byproduct of value, not the source. The moment you start seeking external validation, you place your confidence in someone else's hands. You make their opinions more important than your own. That's a dangerous way to live. If people recognize you, great. If they don't, that doesn't change anything about your value. There's a difference between being appreciated and needing to be acknowledged. Appreciation is a wonderful thing, but if you depend on it to feel worthy, you'll always be at the mercy of others. Some people will never give you credit, not because you don't deserve it, but because they don't want to. Some will overlook you, not because you lack value, but because they're too focused on themselves. And some will refuse to recognize you simply because they don't want to see you rise. That's why you must protect your worth. You must remind yourself every day that you are valuable. Whether anyone says it or not, your skills, your work, your presence, all of it holds meaning. When you understand this, you stop worrying about who sees it. You stop trying to prove yourself to people who don't matter. Begging for recognition only lowers your value. Think about it. The moment you chase someone's approval, you hand them power over your emotions. You give them permission to decide whether you're worthy. But why? Why should anyone else have that kind of control over you? Why should their acknowledgement determine your confidence? Instead of chasing recognition, focus on becoming undeniable. Focus on building yourself in such a way that your presence cannot be ignored. Work so hard on your craft, your character, and your discipline that people have no choice but to notice. But even if they don't, let that be their problem, not yours. Some of the greatest people in history were overlooked for years. They were ignored, rejected, and dismissed. But did that stop them? No. They didn't beg for recognition. They didn't plead for approval. They just kept working. And eventually, their value spoke louder than any words could. You must do the same. Don't sit around waiting for someone to acknowledge you. Don't lower yourself just to be noticed. Your value is already there. Your job is to keep growing, keep pushing, and keep proving to yourself that you are enough. The right people will recognize you in time, and the ones who don't, they were never meant to. Your worth is not up for debate. It's not a question that needs answering. It's a fact that must be protected. So stop seeking recognition. Stop looking for someone to tell you that you matter. You already do, and that's all you ever need to know. Number 8. Assert your value and don't let others devalue you. You are responsible for setting the standard for how people treat you. If you don't assert your value, others will define it for you. And if you let them, they will always undervalue you. People will take advantage of what you don't protect. They will minimize what you don't reinforce. That's why you must take control of your worth and refuse to let anyone diminish it. The way you see yourself determines how the world sees you. If you walk around unsure of your worth, people will treat you as if you have none. If you hesitate, they will overlook you. If you downplay your abilities, they will believe you. Your confidence in yourself sets the tone for how others respond to you. Too many people allow themselves to be undervalued because they are afraid of rejection. They stay silent when they should speak. They accept less than they deserve because they fear confrontation. They let people walk over them because they don't want to seem difficult. But every time you let someone devalue you, you teach them that it's okay. You train them to see you as less than you are. You don't need anyone's permission to assert your value. You don't need someone else's approval to recognize your worth. but you do need the courage to stand firm. The world does not reward those who wait for recognition. It rewards those who step forward and claim it. If you don't demand respect, you will not get it. If you don't establish your worth, others will assume it is negotiable. You must decide today that you will no longer accept anything less than what you deserve. This is not about arrogance. It's about self-respect. It's about refusing to let anyone determine your value except you. When you know your worth, you don't need to explain it. You don't need to convince people. You simply carry yourself in a way that leaves no room for doubt. There will always be people who try to devalue you. Some will do it out of ignorance. Some will do it out of insecurity. And some will do it because they benefit from keeping you small. But none of that matters. What matters is that you never allow their opinion to become your reality. Stand your ground. If someone doesn't respect your value, they don't deserve your time. If they don't appreciate your skills, they don't deserve your effort. If they try to diminish your worth, they don't deserve a place in your life. You do not have to prove yourself to those who refuse to see you for who you are. The world will always test your confidence. It will try to see how much you will tolerate. If you allow yourself to be undervalued once, it will happen again. But when you refuse to accept anything less than your worth, you send a clear message. You show people that you are not someone to be overlooked. You establish yourself as someone who knows who they are and will not compromise. You must take responsibility for protecting your value. No one else will do it for you. It is up to you to set the boundaries. It is up to you to demand respect. It is up to you to decide what you will and will not accept. The moment you start asserting your value, you take control of your future. You stop depending on others to define your worth. You step into the power that was always yours. Never let someone else determine how much you matter. Never let them dictate your worth. You are not here to be measured by someone else's standards. You are here to set your own. Assert your value. Refuse to be devalued, and never under any circumstance let the world convince you that you are anything less than extraordinary. Number 9. Challenge anyone who questions your worth with confidence. People will always test you. They will question your abilities, doubt your decisions, and challenge your worth. Some will do it because they are intimidated by your confidence. Others will do it because they want to see if you will back down. And some will do it simply because they don't understand your value. But none of that matters. What matters is how you respond. When someone questions your worth, you have two choices. You can shrink, second-guess yourself, and allow their doubts to take root in your mind, or you can stand tall, look them in the eye, and make it clear that you know exactly who you are and what you bring to the table. The choice is yours. Confidence is not arrogance, it is certainty. It is knowing that you do not need permission to believe in yourself. It is understanding that you do not need to explain or justify your value to those who refuse to see it. When you challenge those who question you, you are not being defensive, you are setting a boundary. You are making it clear that you are not someone to be underestimated. Every time you let someone's doubt shake you, you give away your power. You allow them to dictate how you see yourself. But when you stand firm in your confidence, you send a message. You show the world that you are not waiting for approval. You are not seeking validation. You know who you are, and that is enough. The strongest people are those who refuse to be defined by others. They do not allow someone else's opinion to become their reality. They do not let small-minded people determine their worth. They challenge doubt with certainty. They meet resistance with unwavering belief. And because of that, they rise. If someone questions your ability, prove it through action. If they doubt your strength, let your results speak for themselves. If they try to diminish your accomplishments, let your progress make them irrelevant. You do not need to argue. You do not need to seek their approval. Your success will be the only answer you need. People who try to devalue you are often projecting their own insecurities. They question your worth because they are unsure of their own. They challenge your confidence because they do not have it themselves. Do not take their words personally. Do not allow their doubts to shake you. Instead, use it as fuel. Let it push you to work harder, grow stronger, and achieve more than they ever thought possible.
You must decide today that no one will have the power to make you feel small. No one will have the ability to determine your value except you. The world will try to test you. It will try to make you doubt yourself. But when you meet every challenge with confidence, you take back control. The way you carry yourself sets the standard. If you allow people to question your worth without consequence, they will continue to do so. But when you make it clear that you will not tolerate disrespect, the world will take notice. You do not have to be aggressive. You do not have to argue. You simply have to know who you are and refuse to accept anything less than what you deserve. Confidence is built through action. It is built through discipline. It is built through proving to yourself, day after day, that you are capable, strong, and valuable. Every time you stand firm, you reinforce that belief. Every time you challenge doubt, you become stronger. Success is not about avoiding challenges. It is about facing them head on. It is about refusing to let fear dictate your choices. It is about understanding that your worth is not up for negotiation. The moment you stop seeking validation is the moment you step into your true power. So when someone questions your worth, meet them with confidence. When they doubt your ability, prove them wrong with action. And when they try to diminish you, rise above them. You do not need to explain yourself. You do not need to justify your value. You simply need to know it, own it, and never let anyone take it away from you.
Number 10. Elevate your self-worth and stop explaining your importance. Your self-worth is not up for discussion. It is not something to be debated or negotiated. It is something you must know, embrace, and carry with you every single day. The moment you start explaining your importance to others is the moment you hand over your power. You are not here to convince anyone of your value. You are here to live it. Too many people spend their lives trying to prove themselves. They explain why they deserve respect. They justify their place in the world. They seek approval from those who don't even understand their vision. But you must recognize that your importance does not depend on someone else's recognition. If you are constantly explaining yourself, you are giving too much weight to opinions that do not matter. There will always be people who fail to see your value. That is not your problem. It is not your job to make them understand. It is not your responsibility to convince them. Your focus should not be on proving yourself. It should be on becoming so strong, so disciplined, and so successful that your actions make words unnecessary. Confidence comes from knowing your worth, not from explaining it. When you believe in yourself, when you carry yourself with certainty, you do not feel the need to justify your existence. You do not shrink in the face of doubt. You do not waste energy trying to win over those who do not matter. Instead, you move forward, undeterred and unshaken. If you constantly seek validation, you will never be free. You will be trapped in a cycle of trying to measure up to standards set by others. You will find yourself adjusting your path to fit into a world that was never meant to define you. But when you stop explaining yourself, when you let go of the need to prove your worth, you step into a different level of confidence. You begin to trust yourself. You begin to move with clarity, and you begin to attract the right people, those who see your value without you having to explain it. Some people will misunderstand you. Some will underestimate you. Some will question why you do what you do. Let them. Their doubts do not define you. Their confusion does not concern you. The only thing that matters is that you know who you are and what you stand for. The rest is noise. The world does not reward those who beg for recognition. It rewards those who command it through action. It rewards those who do not waste time explaining their worth because they are too busy proving it through their results. Your success, your growth, your discipline, these things will speak louder than any words ever could. You must carry yourself as if you are already the person you are striving to become. Not in arrogance, but in certainty. Not in desperation, but in quiet confidence. When you elevate your self-worth, you stop asking for permission. You stop seeking approval. You understand that your importance is not up for debate. You do not need to be the loudest person in the room to be important. You do not need to explain why you deserve respect. You need only to be consistent, to be disciplined, to show up every day and put in the work. That is how you establish your worth. That is how you make it clear that you belong exactly where you are. When you elevate your self-worth, you naturally start attracting the right people and opportunities. You stop settling.
You stop wasting time trying to prove yourself to those who do not appreciate you. You realize that real success comes from within, not from external validation, not from explanations, but from self-assurance. So stop explaining yourself. Stop justifying your value. You do not need to convince anyone of your importance. Your life's work will do that for you. Move with confidence. Stand in your power and never let anyone make you feel like you need to prove your worth.